you some advice on writing your reflections for your portfolio. The first thing you should do is read the instructions. I've gone over these more than once in class, but just to make sure you understand what you're doing, if you open your OneNote, there's a tab called the Final Portfolio, and this is all the instructions for the portfolio. The basic idea is you're going to have 6 artifacts total. 5 of the artifacts will relate to your chapters, and 5 of them, I'm sorry, 1 of them will relate to an ISO. So here is a list at the very bottom of the Final Portfolio instructions of the learning objectives for each chapter. When you're reflecting on what the pieces you've chosen for your portfolio, you need to show why that piece shows that you mastered a learning objective. So, for example, for Chapter 4, one of the learning objectives was to produce a collaborative presentation on the essential spiritual truths on Mary. And for that goal, you guys did the Mary 20 times. So, in reflecting on your piece for Chapter 4, you can use this learning objective. So, I'm going to copy it right now. I'm going to go to my Google site. I'm turning the editor on. And on this page, I have my Mary 20 time. The introduction describes what the project was. So here you would explain the project. The Mary 20 time project was a brief research project on. That gives somebody an introduction to what the assignment's about. And the third part of your each page will be a reflection. You need to reflect on how this project met a learning objective. So we already selected a learning objective, so this is the reflection. The learning objective was to produce a collaborative presentation on the essential spiritual truths on Mary. So, in meeting this learning objective, you would say, for example, you might write one learning objective for Chapter 4 was produce a collaborative presentation on the essential spiritual truths of Mary. My Mary 20 time project met this objective because I posed an essential question about Mary, and then I found my answer. My answer, and here you would say how your answer to the question met the objective. So, for example, in this Mary 20 time up here, it says why Mary is always wearing blue. And so you would put something to the effect, perhaps, my answer to my question showed the theological and cultural significance of wearing blue. I explained to my family members the connection between
Teachers, please excuse the
Mary's
interruption.
clothes.
All the following girls, please come to the office at break. Paulina Rios, Alexandra Mungray,
And
Rachel Turbine,
Catholic theology.
Daisy Valencia, Samantha Campbell, Kiara DeSantis, Riley Ersick, Belen Penado, Raymond
So,
Davies, and
for
Katrina
example,
Norton. Thank you so much.
I found that let's see. I found that blue was a color associated with Mary's purity. So this is how you're going to do your reflections for your final portfolio. You're going to look for your learning you're going to do 5 will relate to any chapter learning objectives, and it could be any chapter, any assignment, and then 1 will relate to an ISO. So as you can see here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These should be related to chapter learning objectives, and then the final 6th one should relate to an ISO. The ISOs are listed in your instructions right here. You just pick one. There are 4 ISOs. So for example, a person of faith who communicates essential elements of Catholic belief. So this is the first ISO, the second ISO, the third ISO, and the 4th ISO. And so one of your reflections should be on how you met the objectives of the ISOs. If you need any help, just let me know.